We have a. Is it recording?
It says starting recording on our end.
Oh, then it's recording.
Oh,
You're recording. You're recording the call.
Woo! Been recording the call. Everybody, welcome to the debut episode of the Rising Star podcast with Joey G and Kelsey. With our guests on the first ever episode, they are the best.
No, wait.
The sign. And
Yes, they are the best in the world, and her sign says it too.
My shirt.
Sure.
Steve and Azure, Steve Somerset,
That's me.
the two-time Creative Pro Tag Team Champions and reigning defending VPW Tag Team Champions,
Also true.
and the hosts of Steven Update,
Ooh, he
This
knows.
is new. That's
he
new.
knows.
I never heard that one before.
the Even Stevens.
Woo!
Big pop.
Big pop, pop, pop.
Big pop.
Big pop.
Gentlemen, how are you guys?
We are doing
good.
doing pretty good.
Pretty sure this is not the first time
Pretty good. I wasn't.
pretty sure this isn't the first time we've chatted on a Skype. I think on my other podcast, the Sign Rip podcast with Joey G,
Sign rip.
Excuse me.
with her. That was actually her debut podcast doing anything. So
Look at you.
And now look at us.
Look at
really.
us. Who else thought?
Not me.
oh, will you stop trying to make me look like a heel on this? Jesus.
What else is hiding under the?
I don't know. My ID, my driver's license.
RJ just pops out of his wallet.
Oh, stop.
Listen, I want that match to happen.
I've been saying it for the whole year, so chill.
This is true. He has been.
This podcast's going to end so quick because we're going to get a knockdown brawl in the first episode. So obviously a lot has changed since I've had you guys on the Sign Rip podcast. There's
Sure.
first off, first big thing that I've noticed, she noticed, there was a little video called Goth Phase.
Yes, this recording is taking place from Washington D.C.
Yeah.
No, it's not because I know his bed. That little.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's Guru.
It could be anybody's bed.
Yeah, little Kevin.
But we noticed a buddy of yours, Stang, appeared on AEW recently, not that long ago.
I'm very very good friends with the man called Stang.
Yeah. That the spot that Stang was in, it looked familiar. Like I think I've been there before.
Yes, I do remember you saying that. I have no idea where I was for that. Like literally no clue. So you probably know better than I do.
It just looked like this spot that me and her one time we tried to go like ghost hunting at. Letchworth.
Oh, Letchworth.
Yeah, you know the abandoned
We went
It's
through
an
those, you
abandoned
know,
mental hospital in like Rockland County, and like half of it, I think got destroyed. Like I'm not because of like vandals or anything. I think like the town of wherever it is, like took it down and like, or they redid some of the buildings as like office buildings or something, and then the other half for like the infirmary and like the morgue. That's still standing, but it's apparently very dangerous. Like at night, like that's why the cops, like when we went, short story, we went at like 11 o'clock at night for some stupid reason.
nice.
My cousin's boyfriend was trying to like act like, oh, we didn't know, and like everyone else was playing dumb. I just went up to the cop and was like, look, we were stupid. I'm so sorry. Like that's my car parked over there. I would really appreciate it if you did not impound my car.
The cop called me corn because I had a corn shirt on. So
And then he was like respected me that I was just like, listen, I'm sorry. We were just ghost hunting for no reason, like none at all. So I'm so sorry. We will get out of here as fast as you tell us to.
I have a question though.
go ahead.
Uh-oh.
Did you find any ghosts?
There's
It was really eerie.
I felt something touch my leg that night. I don't know if it was like a
It was a really warm night, but when you went into like the main building, it was freezing in there. Like that was what blew my mind. Like there's something like in there. And I believe in ghosts. Like I love that whole like the whole ghost hunting thing. Like I don't know about the whole like those things that they have on their phones, hackers, and I don't know if I believe all that, but I do believe in like spirits and like afterlife and like people linger.
Sure.
There's something lingering in there, and I care not to find out because I don't want it following me home.
No,
So
I
just
definitely
stay there.
agree with her on it being. It
I don't
got
know if
really
it's-
cold out of nowhere. It was like in the middle of summer, like 85 degrees.
Yeah,
in
no,
summer
it was like
stuff.
it was like almost beginning, almost like July, like It was like June, like end of June into July, so like it just became like summer, like, but we don't
It
think
was
that.
June. It was June.
No, like, but everyone like as soon as it gets hot, they associate summer, but it's like no, like it just turned summer, like.
Yeah.
It was June.
Yeah,
June.
but
It's
it was like really warm that night.
Because it was June.
But usually it cools off. Like
No, June is like where it starts to peak with the heat wave. Why are we arguing the weather on this? I don't know.
I just know that Hunter, my cat,
I wish that it was.
We were arguing about the weather on a night from like 6 years ago.
I wish that it was 85 degrees when we were filming that, because we're filming that video, and God bless Anthony Bowens, because that dude was shirtless for half of that video. I had a jacket on and I still got like frostbite on my fingers. He was shirtless doing snow angels. So
coffin drops.
What was that?
And coffin drops.
Yeah, he's doing coffin drops and snow angels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shirtless, and it literally the wind chill was like 1 degree. Like
yeah, but
it was.
You do it for the day.
Well, I believe it because that place is definitely haunted with some spirit of something. And when we were there in the dead of summer and went inside a building and it was freezing, I can only imagine what it felt like in winter in that place. It's got to be serious and gross, and like we walked by and like you could see like where they would put like the bodies, and I'm like blown away because that was a children's hospital. Like it was a children's mental hospital. So like God only knows what could be lingering in there. And like I love ghost stories, but not when it comes to children. I'm like, oh, that's
valid.
But getting away from the mental hospital that Stephen Azure's good friend Stang was at. So obviously a lot is since you guys were on the I keep saying Rising Star, the Sign Rip podcast, like last June. We've seen you guys in Invictus a few other times. You know, sure. I feel like we've had this conversation on Don Kincaid's thing, so I feel weird just repeating the same thing over and over.
Shout out to Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid.
We love Don Kincaid.
Jackie G.
Jackie G. No.
I love saying that.
I'll do this one.
But
for nuggets.
But we get off your phone.
Sorry,
I'm like a professional.
Be professional. I'm never on my phone when I do it.
Train professional. I got train professional. Hold that. Yeah.
Oh, you got a new tattoo since then.
Wait, what does it say?
It says train professional. Come on, Kelsey.
Oh.
You would know this if you weren't looking at your phone.
Come on, Kelsey.
Bad habit.
So, but we've seen you a few times now at Invictus. Me and Kelsey traveled up to Creative Pro to see you guys. Down to Creative Pro. I love how everybody loves to correct me when I get that wrong.
It's the correct term. It's
fine, whatever. Up, down, diagonal, left, right. We went to Creative Pro.
Was that in June?
Train waited and got front row.
Yes. Yeah. Do you remember what month that was?
Lettuce.
That was fall?
What? No, it was the summer.
See, having a child, my brain is cold.
The weekend before my birthday, that's what it was. But we were down in Creative Pro. Which I'm not gonna lie, I've always wanted to check out the Creative Pro. I didn't know you guys put on shows there. So when she told me about that show, I was blown away because I didn't even know you guys did shows at the actual
arena,
the training facility where Creative Pro is. And so that was like really, really cool.
Local training facility.
Yeah. And I had no idea if it was even possible for us to get first row with that show being.
There was mad people in line when we got there.
Not to mention with it being a free show, we didn't think we were gonna be able to get to the front that quickly.
Yeah.
We lined it. I didn't care.
It was that day, like, I mean, that was like a very special day for like a lot of people, but especially us, you know, just being the first time we had like a live show. But yeah, no, like I remember like when they first said like this was gonna be our first show back, and I just like our, you know, training place, like it only holds like 125, like 150, like crammed in. I was like,
we definitely didn't meet the CDC guidelines when we all.
Yeah, I was just like, I knew that from the get go. I'm just like, I'm pretty sure everybody and their dog is gonna come out for this.
It was like this.
It was and then like it was when we got the rain, I'm like, okay, like maybe with the rain, like it'll probably like some people that were gonna go like might not or whatever. Like I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna make it. I knew how excited you were to go. And then like throughout the day, I'm getting like the Instagram updates, like you guys are on the road or whatever. I'm like, let's go.
It wasn't stopping.
Nothing was stopping her that day.
It was one of those things where it was like I had to do it.
I didn't even have to give her gas money for this. She just wanted Whataburger before the show.
Yeah, I just wanted a burger.
that's all that mattered. That's all that we needed. So we got down there. The funniest part about that is that when the doors opened up,
MJF flipped you off.
we keep reminding everybody about that. I'm trying to tell the story. What is with you?
Best moment of my life.
Of course, because you almost broke my neck getting him to flip me off. So what's funny is when the doors opened up, like it's just like the garage. It was like a garage door kind of.
Yeah.
Like everybody was like piling on to the left to try to get to the seats, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, why is nobody going through the right side over here?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like everyone
And
kind
then
of
we were like,
held.
well, screw that. Let's get to the front before everybody did, and we bolted through like.
Yeah, it's kind of like just like.
I said I tripped a child. I didn't care.
Yeah.
So like if you're in the line, you just like you're like, oh
Just go
well,
through it,
this.
Well, it's like a cattle line. You ever like hear that
Yeah.
that phrase? They're like a cattle line.
I
where they-
never heard that before.
Oh, my dad's weird. and
It
like,
reminded me of
everything.
the Men in Black movie where everybody was trying to like write in the contract, and then Will Smith just dragged the table across the room and just did it up.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
care how like.
Got straight to the point, but
you know,
obviously we found that you guys were Creative Pro. You got, and obviously you guys said you were you're getting the updates. I guess she was updating you the entire day.
I'm just thinking about the movie. Everyone's
She's
shooting-
got a physics
everyone's
textbook. Something's going on.
everyone's shooting aliens, and he's like, "Why did you shoot this little girl with like books?" He's like, no, "It's like 10 o'clock at night,
You
like
started that.
walking home. Come on,
I
what
have
are
no
you
problem with
doing?
that.
She's the most suspicious one."
But
No, I definitely harassed Azure the entire day, like letting him know that, like, no, I'm gonna be there. Like your biggest fan of like the Invictus side, because like in a previous podcast they said how like there's a bigger fan in every faction that they're or every wrestling event that they go to. Invictus was representing, so I came down in full force.
she came down and she got too shy meeting your guys' head trainer Brian Myers though.
Yes.
It looked like Triple H in his young days, and I just had like flashbacks of like can't talk.
But so, and obviously I know you guys were really stoked to have us come there for that. You know, not trying to
Oh yeah, for sure.
pat myself on the back, but you know, we were, you know, it was funny because like I know she's a massive fan, so I'm not gonna lie. I was like, are you sure they're gonna be happy with me down there? Because the last two shows they were like ripping into me and Invictus. So.
Well, because you're insanely
Well,
rude.
Invictus is a little different.
Invictus, yeah, Invictus is
I don't know.
it's
there's
Jersey.
a different
It's,
vibe. It's a different, you know.
But
feel when we're there.
that's why I was sitting there. I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna be appreciative of me there because I know you're the biggest fan. They love you everywhere. But I'm like, oh, the insanely rude guys here. That's what I was.
That's why, like, I really like. So I feel bad because, like, I know we keep saying the dream match between like you, the stepdads, and Insanely Rude, and I think Waves and Curl. That would be kind of cool. But like the main three, like obviously I'm the Even Stevens, like I'm the squad. You're the Insanely Rude.
Yeah,
section.
you're talking about the dream match you tried to instigate between
Right,
them after the
But
show.
who would represent the stepdads? If you're Insanely Rude section, I'm the squad.
I can't like more than one tag
No,
team
but like
apparently.
there has to be like, you know, like there's.
You have to pick a side.
I don't know, maybe Billy. We'll have Billy represent the stepdads then.
I mean, he does love Full House, and they come out to the Full House theme, so I guess that kind of works. But he's not. I mean,
So,
poor guys. They
but
don't really have their own.
speaking of that, now obviously, this has been like a dream match that a lot of people wanted to see. Like, and I'm not just talking like Even Stevens, Insanely Rude, or Even Stevens stepdads. I'm literally been talking about Even Stevens, Insanely Rude stepdads. Like, there's like a big, I'm pretty sure it's been coming up in your mentions like all the time.
Every now and then.
It's your fault. That's your fault.
But like, how do you feel like when people go, "Oh, we really want to see you guys wrestle another tag team"? Do you guys get excited, or you're like, "Oh shit! Like, do we even want to wrestle these weirdos or these guys?"
It makes me feel like I have no control in the matter. It's really not like it's not like we don't want to do it at all, because we do. We would do it in a heartbeat. It's just a matter of finding the time and the dates and the place I will have it.
Yeah,
really.
like
That's really the only thing.
yeah, but like going off that, like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of like out of like our control. Like like we're not promoters, you know, we can't be like,
We're
hey,
not
like
promoters.
make this match happen or whatever. But when enough people are like clamoring for it, or you know, mentioning it, you know,
It
or we're
helps.
going back and forth, you know, we interact with the stepdads, we interact with, Insanely Rude on social media. It's like, yeah, like
We try
just
to
like
build some type of hype.
like it's there, like all the elements, all the ingredients are there. We just need to find a
throw it in the oven.
stick in the oven, and
like we'll keep
make something.
we'll keep leaning into it until it happens, and then it'll all be worth it. But right now we're just doing it, and right now there's not going to be a payoff because right now there's nothing set.
Speaking of like promoters making obviously the matches and whatever, have you guys, like, as wrestlers, can you guys ever put give a promoter like your input, or be like,
Oh, for sure.
hey, I really like this tag team I saw on this promotion. Is there any way you guys can get them to come here, like invite them out, and maybe we could do a match with them? Like,
that's a great question. I'm curious too.
Like, are you guys allowed to give any type of input, or are you just like, you're hired, do what you got to do, and then here's your paycheck and leave?
It's case by case, but especially if you have like a relationship with the promoter, you can absolutely, like, especially if, I want to say, like, especially if you're champion somewhere, like, you kind of more or less have a say in who.
Pecking order.
Yeah.
Like, definitely go through the roster first, and then if you're happen to be like a long reigning champ, like, you might say like, oh, like, let's bring, whether you have like friends or people that you want to work, or people you just want them to get an opportunity. If it's a new person, because like we train at Creative Pro, so we know all the new guys there, and we want them to get a spot and be in the spotlight. So if they need that extra nudge, knowing us, like, hopefully we could help them out and get us a match either against us or somebody else, just to get their name out there as well, because it's all about just trying to get your name out there.
Yeah, it definitely is a case by case basis. Everything in wrestling, like, it all depends. Like, every situation, every promotion is like a little bit different. So if your promotion has like a bunch of tag teams, or like, it's harder to bring people in, because like, well, let's use the guys that we have, know. But if, like Steve was saying, you've done a couple of defenses, like, you've pretty much worked with everybody that there is too. It's like, okay, is it super exciting to work this team a second, third, or fourth time potentially? Like, maybe not so much. So it's like, can we bring people in, switch it up a little bit? I feel like promoters, and if you pitch somebody, promoters are more inclined to do that. But what we just won the VPW tag titles, last show, for like, hey, like, let's bring in these people, let's bring in these people. It's like, let's slow down a minute, like, let's establish this thing first, and let's see what we can do with the guys who are here, like, busting their ass on a regular basis.
Yeah, especially if you're like the guy at a promotion. I feel like every promotion has like top guys or people that have at least been on TV. They'll definitely have a say if they want to or want not to work with so and so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially if like they're getting paid a lot to like make an appearance or something, like they could definitely veto. Like, even somebody that's like on TV, now, or someone like, or like a legend wants to come in, like, oh, we like, if it was like, just like to name an example, like, oh, Dudley Boys, oh, you want to put somebody through a table? They could say,
just like,
they don't have to do anything.
Something out of my head, like, that's really funny.
And that's why like I said, when I keep seeing all these new tag teams from different promotions, like, I'll be at NEW one time, and then I'll see, like, obviously Insanely Rude. Then I saw you guys.
Oh, do you know their work? Are you familiar with them? Who?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's
Insanely obsessed with them.
Insanely. I misheard.
No, it's Insanely.
Insanely.
I mean, hold on. Let's,
are you really yanking my phone out to show?
Yeah, because like.
You're gonna say like yanking my phone.
Oh, you can't really see it.
You're showing them my notifications.
I know too.
You have your background.
No, I don't. I have my niece as my background.
No, your main screen is.
Your niece is Insanely Rude?
Now I get it.
I love how she puts me on the spotlight.
He's rude. That's why he's like good friends.
Oh,
and RJ.
Oh, please! You didn't even know who these guys were before.
I didn't, and I liked them, but then I found my tag team. Like, in a previous podcast, we talked about like, like, oh, who are your favorite tag teams? Mine were the Dudley Boys, and like we were saying how like you guys and Insanely Rude and like a bunch of other tag teams kind of bring that era back for us. Like, as fans, old fans, it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm an Edge and Christian fan. Well, I'm a Dudley fan, and he was, the Hardy Boys. So to him, Insanely Rude are the Hardy Boys. You guys are my Dudleys because the glasses. I don't know. I love the Dudleys and I love you, so I'm just trying.
No, they're more like Edge and Christian.
I didn't want to say it, but you're wrong, and we're Edge and Christian.
Fine.
More like Edge and Christian because, like I said, Creative Pro, Brian Myers. Come on.
Yeah, he was an Edge head.
Edge heads, bro.
Yes.
Like, But you guys bring that excitement back.
I got the Hardy thing.
For tag team.
Yeah.
When I dry my hands. They're dry now.
But now, like, because we start seeing all the tag teams from all the promotions, that I've seen from multiple promotions, and I'm always curious then after seeing them, like, be like, I would love to see these guys against like the Stepdads, or I'd like to see Insanely Rude against like Art of War. Well, we got Art of War at the last show, but I'd like, that's another tag team. I feel like I would love to see you guys against like Art of War.
I think that's the beauty of indie wrestling.
Jason Andrews and AK Willis,
Yeah.
I mean, we never got the opportunity to see you guys take on Waves and Curls. Obviously, you got to do it during I was gonna say Panic at the Disco Dojo, but
close.
Pandemic at the Dojo. Was that what did I say it right or no?
Yeah,
you got
I believe it was Pandemic at the Dojo.
Yes.
And I know, I mean, it was cool, but I really think you guys would have a fired up crowd.
Both of us, Waves and Curls and us, like have grown so much since then, so it would be a completely different. It's crazy
because that match to me feels like it happened like 2 or 3 months ago, but that's like 2 years almost. Like
it was
like which is like wild to think about. And
probably didn't air till like June.
Yeah, and I think all 4 of us have just like completely grown so much since then.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was a conversation me and him had maybe like 8 or 9 months ago about like tag teams that grinded through the pandemic. And it's funny you say that because Waves and Curl, you guys, like a lot of people were grinding and some just unfortunately weren't due to whatever circumstances there were. People were stuck at home.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how far people have grown and how, I don't know, just their talent and everything has gone from like, preschool level to now elementary to middle. And it's like going and growing and growing. And we were saying the other day in a conversation with another like wrestler, like, do people change locations? And we found out actually Wrecking Ball went to one training facility and he wanted to learn a different style, so he went with the Dudley.
Alex told us that actually.
Yeah, but it was ironic. So my question,
I love when they do that.
My question is, do you guys stay at Creative Pro, or do you think eventually you guys will find another gym to either spruce it up a little bit, learn maybe different techniques in the ring, or do you think by wrestling other opponents like that come into Creative Pro, do you think you'll stay there and just learn from the legends that come back, or do you think you want to branch out and be like, no, I kind of want to learn this style or this style?
So the biggest thing I'll say is in terms of like the actual facility, I don't think we would ever leave Creative Pro. Nobody ever.
I wouldn't say like if we were to like move out of the state for some reason,
like
we would find a new place and like
of course
not say start over, just go to somewhere just to get our reps and stuff.
Yeah.
But as of right now, we definitely don't see us going anywhere.
And
we know, at least for me personally, I didn't start at Creative Pro.
Yes.
I was somewhere else and then moved over to Creative Pro. And then after being at Creative Pro, we both know that like that is the best school
place,
in the
like
area. It's like not even close. So we wouldn't go looking for somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because we know that this is the best of the best.
And in terms of like the whole like style, techniques, learning more, learning differently, I feel like that's kind of like, I kind of look at it as like on-the-job experience where when we go out of state or even when we stay in state but we wrestle new opponents, like that's kind of like learning on the job to me, where like
they know how to do it one way.
Yeah, well, when you work people who come from other schools, like obviously they're going to have a slightly different mindset or look at things a different way. So it's like, it's kind of like the matches end up being a clash where it's just like, oh, like this is, Creative Pro guys with like New England, Pro Wrestling Academy. Like we recently had them on Cap TV or whatever. So it's like you kind of see like a bunch of guys' mindsets from there. You see ours, and then it's like you get something a little bit different, just because their opponents are different. And they, like we're all gonna learn, lockups and like hitting the ropes and stuff like that. But the in between stuff and how one thinks about putting a match together and like character work, like all that's gonna be completely different based on where you're from. So it's like really interesting to see how that comes together. And that's where we pick up stuff. Like if you train at Creative Pro and you only go Creative Pro and you only work Creative Pro guys, eventually you're gonna plateau. You're gonna hit a point where it's like, okay, you're not progressing because like, you've worked everybody, you've done the same drills, you've done the same classes over and over again. So when you can go out there and wrestle somebody from somewhere else, or somewhere from somebody else comes in, then like that's where you get to be like, oh, I never thought about this that way, or I never thought to look at it from this perspective, and it's that's how you grow. That's you take a little bit from everybody, and you kind of make your own amalgamation, if that's a word, of
if it's not, you're so close.
I'm very close.
But that's a good thing about having two trainers, or we have several trainers technically. But like the good thing of having multiple trainers is that everybody thinks differently. So we're getting like already just being in the one facility, as you call it, we're already getting so many different flavors of ice cream, as we call it, different ways of looking at things.
Well, as a hairdresser, there's so many things we have to learn, and like you said, if you plateau, it's kind of like you're not doing anything. You're kind of just, you've got the same routine, and it's like, what are you still doing here? That's how I look at it. In my industry, like, if you've plateaued and you just don't feel like you need to learn anything, you're done. Because you've made your clientele, you're happy, but people, unfortunately, move on, whether it's in life or to other salons. And if you're 80-something years old, then okay, then that's fine with you. But I'm still young. I want to keep learning. I'm still hungry for my industry, which I think is beautiful, and I love to see that in anyone's job, that you're still hungry to learn. Like, no matter how old you are, I'm in this, it's not my job 8 years, I've been doing hair 11 years, like, I still love it. So like when I hear wrestlers say how they still have a passion, whether however long they've been doing it, it's nice to hear that, because I don't know, I feel like education doesn't care how old you are. You should always keep learning, especially if it's a craft or something that you do enjoy. You should just keep learning. And that's my friendly educational moment of tonight.
It's true. I love that, because like it does really apply to like any industry, where it's just like you can always be learning. Like you can talk to like literally any like 80, 90-year-old wrestling veteran who's around, like I don't think they'll ever sit down and say the quote, I know everything that there is to know about wrestling, because like that just doesn't like exist. Like what is wrestling? Like there's and especially in an industry like that,
wrestling always changes too.
It constantly changing, like what works or what didn't work like a year or two ago could change tomorrow, like it's. And that's going back to like the waves and curls thing, where it's like we say we both grown so much. Like how much has wrestling changed since the pandemic? There was an entire era of wrestling that was just for the pandemic, whereas like
I feel like, and I hate to cut you off, WWE during that time took whatever wrestlers they had, threw them in the toilet and just flushed, and then they were gone. Like I know as a fan who was a WWE fan, I've seen a dramatic change in their company, and it's sad because I grew up as a young teen watching them, and I loved them. I loved the product. I loved the people in it. And and I don't know if that's just the attitude era or more ruthless aggression era in me. That's like, oh shit, like I missed that, and that it became really kiddie. And then I don't know, they kind of lost where they were going. Like they were trying to bring back stuff, and then it didn't work. So then they tried another way, it didn't work, and nothing they seem to be doing is working.
See, I think what it is that when the storyline started to get stale. Yeah, see,
my back is killing me.
Mine was too.
How you know you've hit an age.
But I think what it is with mine is you keep moving the camera. So, the thing is that what I think it is eventually people get tired of the same, like what you guys were mentioning before about like plateauing. Like if you wrestle the same tag team like 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row, eventually
it gets stale.
It does lose its stale.
It's like eating the same thing over and over again.
It's hard to keep it new and fresh.
Because like there's only so many times that like I feel like I could watch like John Cena versus Randy Orton on WWE TV as a prime example.
Or now Roman Reigns taking over the reins of everybody, and I get it. We were just having this conversation before when I was cooking dinner. How people are pissed because everyone thinks that Roman Reigns is the new John Cena, and it's like, he's really not though. Like John Cena was like bright colored, bubblegum, like you can't see me, 3 moves of death, and that was it. Like Roman, at least, like, yeah, he has this 1 move of death, right? Like 5 knuckles. But like, I feel like WWE, and this is going back into the 80s.
I'm sorry.
Can't see me.
Where'd you go, Kelsey? Where?
Oh, it works?
Where'd it go? Where'd you go? Oh wow.
And this is going back to the 80s. Hulk Hogan.
She started in the Marines, so no.
Well, Hulk Hogan.
Marine was
bubblegum poppy, like eat your vitamins, blah blah blah. Then who was in the 90s that was pretty similar?
I don't want to rip the shirt.
Who was in the 90s? That was your era.
What?
The 90s. So if you had Hulk Hogan,
I had the Attitude Era.
Right, and then Stone Cold. I guess in a way, Stone Cold was the face of the
Really
company.
doesn't have
And
like
The Rock.
Stone Cold and The Rock, you know.
They were the faces of the company then, and you have two of them, and then out comes John Cena right after. So it's like every kind of era they had a face, and I really can't say that Roman's really the face of their company. Like,
They don't have that breakout star.
Yeah, I don't like, and I hate to say that. Like, I don't think they just have one of them now. Like, they're kind of just floating.
Which is getting back to the other stuff though. Which is why I feel like the indies and I've continued saying this now ever since I've been going to indie shows. I feel like the indies are a lot more exciting for me now. Like, because you got so much variety. You have Matt. Like, I've never seen the same people wrestle like twice at an indie show unless the match was so good where the crowd just couldn't be quiet because of how great it was that it demanded an absolute rematch, like to make it like worth it.
And that might just be simply due to maybe like creative freedom that we have on the indies that WWE doesn't give their performers like creative freedom. Like you have like producers, that help tell you, how to conduct your matches, how they want it to be done. But at least on the indies, you have even a say. Like we have a say on what we want to do as characters because we are them.
Yeah.
So we try to like do what's always what we think is best.
Yeah, like we usually have like
Try to be entertaining.
For some places, like some sort of direction. Like I always like to ask like, what do you want out of this match? From like a promoter standpoint, like where are we going? What exactly do you want? But in terms of like the actual like putting the match together, like being our characters and like doing our stuff, like that's all on us. Like that, like we don't have somebody standing over being like, no, don't do that, do this, like hit this, like it's just like, okay, like
maybe after the match, but not before.
Yeah, no, we can be like, oh, like this could have been done better, like we get like, the match feedback, obviously, but yeah, no, we have a lot of freedom to do kind of like even something like Steven Update or whatever, like nobody's telling us like do or do not do that. Like that was
you guys talk to each other and say, oh, let's do this. Like you talk within each other and figure it out.
That's
it.
And
that's, I guess the beauty of the indie scene, and also as a fan, when we become friends with these promoters, they want our input as fans. Like, hey, what would you guys like to see?
Yeah.
And I think that's nice. Like, I get it. Like the bigger names, they want the input, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that send the paycheck. So they make the final call. But it's nice when you have like these smaller promotions be like, well, what do you guys really want to see? Like, who would you want us to bring in? Or like, again, we're friends with Alex. We're going to be working the Invictus show in 2 weeks.
The best in the world.
It's cool. Like, that's an opportunity as a fan you would never get in the big leagues.
Right.
I like when they like to listen a bit more to the fans, the indie promoters, and maybe sometimes bring in guys that have been highly requested for the promotion. Which is like I was pushing hard as hell to not that long ago to Vincenzo from Tough and Talented.
Yes.
I wanted to see you guys get in there, because I'd like to see you guys branched out because I really want. There's a lot of guys in the Connecticut wrestling scene, like fan wise, that I want to introduce to. A lot of these guys I've seen at Invictus and Northeast Wrestling and now Creative Pro. And I like now that I guess Vincenzo has actually confirmed one of the dream matches I'm so excited about with you guys and the Stepdads. At some time.
It's in the works. It's going down some pipes.
That's what I mean as a fan. That's freaking cool that we have some input and we're able to give them a dream match idea and they're able to kind of work it. And I get it, like you got it, indies don't run every week like the bigger names.
Yeah.
So when we do get to see it, holy crap, it makes us as a fan look forward to it and be like, oh my God, I can't wait to see that live.
I think it's more special that way that it doesn't run every week because like it gives us more you'd be like you go to that show and you leave and I'm just like, all right, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, it's something you talk about for like weeks.
Yeah. So I've actually been thinking about that a little bit recently too, in regards to Creative Pro. Just because like something that I've personally noticed, and I think a lot of fans will probably pick up on it too, is a lot of promotions will do these like big shows or whatever. You know, it's like the once a month show or so, or once every like 6 weeks even occasionally, where they'll have like their big show. They'll bring in some names or whatever. And it's like a big, you know, like it's a really big grand show, and that's really cool. But because of that, I know we spoke about this a little bit on Starting the Pots podcast, where it's like because you're bringing in all these other names, some of the guys that train at the school or whatever don't necessarily get a spot on the show, even though they're coming to training regularly. You know, they're doing, you know, they're taking the bumps, they're paying, you know, their tuition or whatever. So I look at it as I've always liked the idea of having like a weekly something. Like we do have Tap TV, which is great because it's all just students. Like and it's just opportunities to like have matches, you know, that people can see, work on your reps, work on your character. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the most, you know, like the biggest thing to like draw you in per se, but it's just a platform to get some of these newer guys who are doing their best and, you know, busting their ass to try to, you know, just get an opportunity or something. So while I do understand that not having a show every week, I do think having a physical show in front of people every week might be a little overexposure, might be a little much. But to do with something where it's like, hey, like every other week or so, like, you know, these people are going to be on, and it's just an opportunity to see like what they can do because they might not get an opportunity every show. I mean, we weren't at the last Invictus show when we were on, you know, pretty much every time beforehand. Like it happens, you know, like talent is constantly rotating in or whatever, and you're bringing in names. You want the show to be as big as it can possibly be. And, you know, there's only so many spots, so not everybody can be on every single show.
We kind of did say that with NEW. They bring a lot of AEW guys in, and it kind of stinks in the sense how you just said, you know, you're the ones busting your butt every day, practicing, taking the bumps, doing the reps. And then to have these big names come in, and I get it, you're paying big bucks to have them there, but to have them take the win every time, it's kind of like, as a fan, I expect it now. So, like, we're going to NEW this weekend, and I already expect every single person from AEW, I know they're going to win. And that sucks, because it's like, all right, but I want to see these up-and-comers take on. I get it, it's a bad name, but it's not televised. It goes out on DVD, but it's like, you know, I wish the bigger names could take a bump here and there and be like, you know what?
Well, actually, that's not true completely. At the Danbury show, Wrecking Ball ended up beating Eric Redbeard.
Because it's one out of like the 10 that other wrestled, though. I'm saying, like.
And Big Bacon beat Jake Hager a long time ago to win the NEW championship.
But he wasn't live on AEW yet. He was kind of just like a regular guy to them.
No, he just post WWE.
That's what I'm saying. He was a floater. He wasn't signed to anybody yet.
Still a big name to beat.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I just feel like when you have AEW's like names tagged up underneath your big name, it's like you're kind of, oh man, I know I'm gonna lose, but it's worth it. Hopefully, like I did good enough where they'll go back and talk to Tony Khan or something. Like
that's probably just to bring in like the more casual fan, not like, or at least like the TV wrestling fan, instead of like you guys were like the hardcore indie fan or the hardcore like NEW specifically like fan, and like, you know, there might be more people that just want to see just the TV guys, and they might want to see the TV guys, you know, beat the other guys because they don't know who the other guys are.
Yeah.
Like, oh, who are these guys?
You go to a show or whatever, and like, you know, let's say you're just like Mr. and Mrs., you know, only watches WWE and nothing else, doesn't know anything about it. Like, oh, a friend like Joey G said, oh, I'm gonna take you to NEW, you know, like let's check out the show. Like, you like wrestling, like you'll enjoy it. And then they go into like, okay, who's Insanely Rude? Why should I care? Who are the Even Stevens?
That was me a couple years ago.
You know, but then, you know, you bring in, you know, like Mike Bennett or whatever, like I know is on the last show, and it's like, oh, like I know he was on WWE, you know, so it's like you have that name recognition. So it's like to the very casual fan or like the person who only watches WWE, which like I'm sure there's plenty of people who do that, you know, who are just like they've watched WWE like their parents did, so it's like they're just diehards of that. And so it's hard to being now.
I can admit to being guilty of that at first when I came to NEW.
I think everybody has. Like, I didn't know that independent wrestling was a thing until I started training. I did not know that there were shows that weren't like, I knew that there's like WWE, Impact, and like Ring of Honor. I was like, okay, you go train for those places, then you get a contract. Like, that's it. That was
I had no idea about indie wrestling at all until I got taken to an NEW show years ago. And, you know, I was drawn for my drawing factor to that show, of course, was Matt Hardy.
Yep.
But then I started discovering all these other young guys on the NEW show that I had no idea of, that eventually, I ended up bonding with, because they all ended up eventually, like, you get to chat with them after the show, and they're so down to earth and so relaxed. And then I found them. Then you find them on social media. Like, I don't know how many guys I've like friend requested from Facebook, and it still feels weird to me at times. Like, guys I've been chatting with through Facebook and Twitter now, like regular conversations now.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like looking at the guys in the ring, I've always felt like, as a kid, since I was watching this since I was like 8 or 9, I've always felt like guys in the ring are larger than life. But like now, even today, it still feels weird as hell for me. Weird as hell when I'm sitting there just having regular casual conversations with
You
them.
forget that they're just like you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I first went to NEW, I went to wrestling on the start.
Or you and I.
Ooh.
Like I said, she's like, I mean, what were you saying?
No, that's like wrestling.
Oh, man.
Was that the one you went to? The first NEW was wrestling under the
I
stars.
went to the first NEW Wrestling Under the Stars. I was drawn in with Rey Mysterio and Jake Hager and I don't remember who else, but and Billy Gunn.
No, that was when we went to. I thought.
You left early, I thought.
No, I'm saying your first NEW was wrestling under the stars.
Oh yeah, with Matt Hardy.
Yeah, that was.
God, I'm old.
Where we crossed. We didn't know each other, but we were at the same place.
She's actually at the same show I was at, but we didn't even know each other at the time.
Yeah, I was like 13?
That happened,
15.
Yeah, but I wasn't married yet. I was engaged. So yeah, it was 2013. I got married in 2014.
No, I didn't see Matt Hardy.
I was in June. I remember that.
Had to be June.
Had to be June.
Had to be a June show.
No,
it was
August show.
I remember the Young Bucks were there. The Young Bucks were
because the Young Bucks took on Rey Mysterio and Alberto Del Rio. Or El Patron.
Whatever.
The point of it is, like I said, I'm guilty to say, like, I would be drawn in by them, but then I'd start learning about these younger guys, because it was so funny, because that first show that I saw for NEW, all of a sudden I started seeing all these other guys pop up in my feed, like, people you may know, and I'd be like, hey, that was that guy from the show.
Yep.
There was that guy from the show.
I have so many of those now that I have to screenshot and be like, Joe, do you know this person? Because I don't know them. But now you get that same excitement when we went to AEW and they did Dark, and he was like,
oh my God,
there's that person from this promotion. Oh my God, there's that person from this person. So
I got so excited when I saw
and
Mike.
mind you, were in the nosebleed section. I don't know how his bird eye vision gets point. I couldn't see anything.
Bird eye vision. No.
You have bird eye vision. I can't see all the way down there, like clear view.
Anyway, Mike.
You're insanely rude.
You're just a fucking dork. But no, like, cause I now knowing and seeing all these like indie guys that I see pop up on the from the shows. When I see them on TV, it gets me so excited. Like now that I spotted Verna at that AEW show we were at last year. I keep saying this year. When I saw the Acclaimed music video, like I can't tell you how hard I marked out.
Leo
Sparrow was like Rick Rudin at this
almost
week.
missed.
I don't know. He threw lettuce at me and her, so.
I like him if he'll like.
It was Leo Sparrow. Nick Sanders was the one.
You want to throw lettuce at us with ranch on it?
Well, at least then I can eat it.
Your shirt's gonna get ruined.
I still lost my hoodie. I don't know whatever happened to that.
I think I messaged you after that show
did.
too. I was like, "You think you could see her hoodie still?"
No, it was soaking wet, and I know I put it like over the barricade to dry off, and then
it was so wet, man. But what was I talking about now? We went from that to ranch dressing to your soaking wet hoodie from July.
With the goat. Oh no, that's another guy. The vegan guy.
The vegan guy, Leo Sparrow, the guy who's just
not
on.
very vegan of him if he's wasting food.
No, it's I don't even know where we're going anymore.
Have you guys ever? Speaking of that's a gimmick. Have you guys ever wrestled someone who just had the most bizarre gimmick that you were just like, what in the hell did you come up with that?
Oh, this is such a good question. There's got to be an answer.
What is the most obscure?
You guys have a gimmick, which I fell in love with instantly when we met.
Can I actually just say for the record before they speak that I actually thought Mike Anthony was really crazy?
Who's that?
Don't let him know that.
Yeah, that's not
Oh
good.
boy, don't watch this. No.
Well, I invited him to the thing. Should they?
Oh,
Well,
nice.
like you vegan guy, like where did you just decide? Like I'm gonna throw lettuce at people. Like that didn't like just, think in your head like what is
He got
wrong with you?
nailed with it.
Like that blew me away. Like we're in the front where he just lettuce, and I'm like
Run in my mouth. Next thing I know, this big flap of
Right.
lettuce just
And then like
smacks
the
me in
whole
the
office,
face.
the
I
office.
think I have an
like,
answer.
that was cool, and you guys were like laying in the debris, but like. I would love to know, like, you guys obviously figured out your gimmick, but like when you see like another gimmick, you just go, what is wrong with you? Like, where did you think that?
There's a guy that we both love now, but maybe when like the first time you saw him, you might have been like, oh, what? Like that's what is it? Like you're just a coach? Like you're a coach for like what do you coach? And then you see, but this is a positive because we love coaching.
Yes.
But I started training with Coach, and like he in real life he coaches I think track and field.
Oh, he's like an actual coach.
And I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Do you train wrestling? Like do you coach for wrestlers? Like you that's why you're wrestling. And he comes out. He has a whistle, rip away pants, and he does cardio, and he like the guy's laying down in the middle, and he runs over them, and he blows the whistle, and then he does a big splash, and he has his iconic moves. Rest in peace, obviously. But somebody like that comes to mind where it's just like on paper you're a coach, like what does that even mean? And then you see it, and then that's exceeds expectations.
Now
on the
you have
negative side,
Cardigan, who does his weird like Popeye kind of thing, where if he drinks the coffee, he becomes like strong and almighty.
sure.
Like, how did he come up with something like that? Like, he's kind of like the mama's boy with the mom with the heart.
I love his knee pads.
Like, I love his whole gimmick.
I actually do know the answer to this question.
I did too.
Yeah.
We're friends.
So yeah, like Phil Cardigan, like for the best. Shout out to Phil Cardigan. I'm sorry I hit you in the head with a shoe and Vic Disick. Please send it back.
and I'm sorry I didn't count the 3 and cost you the match against my brother and you Stephen Flo using the shoe, and then insult to injury, used the shoe to count the 3. It was a bit much.
And then we also interviewed said shoe.
I'm not sorry for that. That was comedy gold, and I stand by it.
You watched this guy, like I was surprised.
Glad I stand by it.
I'm sorry.
It was a great episode. Good episode.
I'm laughing so hard.
You need a break?
Give me a second.
Walk it off.
Tiny bladder,
Yeah,
bro.
Phil Cardigan.
Yeah, so Phil Cardigan, I don't know if you are aware of this, but or if you've gone back and checked, but he had another gimmick he was doing where he was the grammar cop.
Sure.
He was
that I would put in the negative.
Yeah, that not great.
Oh, not great.
I mean, I would hit my head on the ceiling that kid had, but
it like we were talking about like plateauing, like it did plateau.
It plateaued, yeah.
Years before he had it.
It was, and it's funny looking back at it now because obviously, like the person behind Phil Cardigan and Grammar Cop, insanely, Phil is insanely like talented,
funny,
hilarious,
talented,
like everything. I feel like he
Cool.
just got locked into something that like
he's got
It
it.
wasn't working for
it
him.
just wasn't, and like it wouldn't work for anybody. Like you could have given anybody a gimmick. He did the best, and he took it to as far as that.
He would
character
correct
could have
people's
gone.
grammar. That's what it was. He
Yeah.
would give you citations, and he would give it to you in the ring. I think to us, like I'm pretty sure he gave us the citation, put the paper in our mouth, and they would like kick us, and then
The
the
match
paper would
with
go
Fighter
flying,
Cat.
stuff like that. So like he would do like and he had maybe like a vest.
Yep.
Like he looked like a cop, but
Yeah.
it was just about grammar. So if you use the wrong form of your, now you're on the shit list.
Now
It's
you're
over.
gonna DDT.
You've
Well,
done
I'm
it.
not
Terrible.
Cop anymore because I really like his gimmick. Because as you said in a previous podcast, when you got injured, it filled that gap for you guys because he kind of fit that mold. Or even Stevens in a weird way. Hello.
Hello, little one.
You are messy. Come here. Come here. She's like
Come on.
wiping her
Yeah,
hands.
showed us.
We got one.
Little.
Running! It's Dakota.
We're still here on the screen.
Boom.
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 Yeah,
Yay!
you did it.
I know, mind blown.
So apparently, Phil Cardigan was the grammar police, and if you said the wrong "your," he would write you a citation. And
The
then,
grammar police?
Yeah, he was the
Grammar cop.
Let's
grammar cop, whatever.
Oh man, that's pretty cool. I like
No,
that.
but it like as Azure said, it kind of he
wa-
took it to the level,
Yeah.
and it was never gonna go
She
over.
did it herself this time.
Yay!
Oh.
No, you want the computer.
Now she wants the computer.
But yeah,
uh,
so he ended up unfortunately or fortunately looking back at it, like,
Fortunately, for sure.
never like seeing anybody get hurt, obviously, but he took a bit of a tumble in a battle royal as grammar cop, and he got concussion like upon getting eliminated, and he when he came back, he really like was contemplating like what he should do, if he even wanted to come back minutes ago.
But it said something about Skype.
all right, I think
Come on.
are we recording again?
Yeah, no, it says recording the call. Yeah.
Okay, so sorry about that, everybody. Technical difficulties. Dakota managed to get her hands on the button and she accidentally shut us off.
Technical Dakotas.
Yeah, she had a heel turn on us. I'm sorry. Now, what was the question before we got cut off? I don't remember where we got cut off.
Well, if you think I remember
I
that.
just hope all the grammar cop stuff made it.
Oh my God. Yes,
That's all I care about.
just for him.
I'm so upset.
So to summarize my previous statement, grammar cop, no. Phil, yes.
No grammar cop. Phil, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Unbelievable.
Oh, she unplugged my fan, or you must have unplugged it.
I don't know if she unplugged it. But,
Yeah.
the point. Thank you for catching that, by the way. I would have gone crazy if I saw that when I.
That would have been weird. All of a sudden we go to edit and it's like, where did it go? What happened?
But
What glitched?
So, but yeah, like, wait, do we have anything else?
Well, no, like I was gonna say the final question would be like, do you guys ever see yourself changing your gimmick?
I don't see us changing it right now. I see us evolving it. Is a better word I would use. If we feel that we hit a plateau ourselves, which is why we're always trying new things, Stevened update, different moves, different type of style promos, vignettes, stuff like that. But if we feel like we need to do a major change, I mean, it's always an option. If something's not working, we need to take a step back and really, not let our egos get in the way. Like, oh no, this should work. This is how it has to work. This is our dream. Like, we might have to go with the times. And I mean, for example, like even if we make it as the Even Stevens, and we go to a place like WWE, they might change our name to like Gunther or something. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Gunther.
And then you just got to roll with that, for example. But changing it, I don't see us changing it in the near future, but evolving it for sure.
It's one of those things where, like, never say never. Like, we don't know exactly what the future holds. So, if what we're doing is working, then, like, we're not necessarily going to fix what isn't broken. But by the same token, too, like mentioned with Waves and Curls before, like, they've evolved since then, since pandemic at the JoJo. We definitely have evolved since then.
For sure.
Like 100%. I do think about it from time to time, about like a gimmick change, if you will. But for me, it's also a little different because like I also have Stang as like a secondary, like completely different like idea character from like me.
It would be hard to like change who we are.
Yeah,
because this is like the most us we can be.
Yes, like I think I everybody always says that. I think Jericho said it. It always sticks in my mind. Is just like the best characters are yourselves turned up to 11.
And that's definitely
and like that's what the Even Stevens are. Like I don't like if you were to walk up to me like on the street or whatever, like am I gonna scream in your face and go, like all that shit? Like no, of course not. Like I'm in public, but. Am I like out there? Like, am I loud? Like, do I crack jokes? And I guess if we're together, you run into both of us together in public, like you're in for a show, like 100%. You know, because that's just like who we are naturally. You know, like I always tell people, like, I don't have a gimmick. I can't turn this off.
Right.
Like it's just who I am. You know.
It's pretty natural at this point. especially.
Yeah, so like a complete like gimmick change would have to be like, you know, me going like full Phil Cardigan or like El Troubadour or whatever, where it's just like I would have to do something so completely different from who I like actually am and like what this is. And it's like, would that work better than what we're doing right now? Maybe. Like, you know, you never know for sure, but would I stop and break off what we have to try to do something else for no reason? It seems like an unnecessary risk, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I totally get that. You know, it's and you're right about that because like, you said you wouldn't go and do that like in public. Like I've seen you guys actually at shows outside. That's a question I had before we call this a night. Do you ever like? I know you guys were at NEW not that long ago, like trying to help out and everything.
Yeah.
Do you ever like still feel good when you guys get like people who come up and they recognized you from other shows, even though you're just there trying to help out? Like,
yeah, of course. Whether we're on the show or not, like just getting recognized for anything or getting recognized.
I took more pictures at that NEW show than I do at like Cap sometimes. Like,
sometimes
not all the time, but sometimes.
Like, you know, to get recognized.
I'm glad to know that and everything. So
yeah, I mean, even like. I think I was in like VPW does like flyering around.
I like when someone recognizes me from high school. I'm like, hey,
yeah,
recognize, yeah.
No, but that's you. You're there.
There you are.
But yeah, no, I've had people recognize like, you know, once or twice. Steve and I were on like a VPW poster locally, and a guy saw me at like a Family Dollar or some shit, and it was like, aren't you on like the poster outside or whatever? Like, oh yeah, shit, I am. You know, it's like it's just like a weird like, you know, like I don't think about stuff like that or whatever, but like, you know, somebody sees you and it's like, oh, you're this guy. And you know, one of my coworkers, like her son had like a birthday party at a VPW show and like didn't know who I was, but it's just like, oh yeah, I took pictures of the event, and they're like, that's the person I work with. And it's like it's really cool to like always like, that's a lot of the time, like especially for me, it's like you forget like what you're doing and like the kind of like reach and like effect you can have on other people, like because we're in it, we're in the thick of it, we're grinding constantly. So it's one of those things where it can be kind of hard to see, you know, the forest through the trees sometimes. But whenever anybody like comes up, it's like, oh, even Stevens, or like, oh, can I take a picture? Like, hi, how are you guys? Like anything. Like that's to us, that's always the coolest thing. Like why wouldn't that not be cool, you know?
And then I remember it too, because like at the Danbury show, I felt weird coming up to say hi because I know you guys were there, and I was like, I hope these guys don't get bothered if we come up and say hi, because I know we've seen them at shows before. I'm like, are they gonna get annoyed that we're interrupting them, like, or they just want to blend in the show and watch the show? And it was easy to point you guys out. I feel bad because I feel like I always point out Azure at every show because of the tattoo on his arm.
That's how you know. That's how you know for sure.
He sees the trained professional tattoo and he's like, oh, that's Azure.
Yeah, the trained.
I actually meant the Yu-Gi-Oh one on your shoulder.
Oh, you meant this one, the S950?
No, the other one.
Oh, you mean this one?
Through all the tattoos.
If he had more,
all the tattoos.
Oh wait, you mean this one?
Whoa!
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know you had his name on your butt.
You're gonna get banned off YouTube off the first episode.
Audio only, right? Is this video? Is this gonna?
Oh, this is video.
Oh no!
Well, it was a good run.
We canceled.
We've been doing this. This is all on video on YouTube, but yeah, like I said, and that's wrap it up for this episode, guys.
I want to do the exit.
You can do the exit then.
Okay. Oh, what?
Well, go ahead. Your arm.
Well, I want to make sure.
Go do the exit.
How are we doing the exit?
You're the one.
Exit.
Love and eggs.
Good.
Give me headaches. Come on.
I'm glad. Someone else deserves headaches.
Can you do the exit already?
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to the Rising Star podcast. First ever and watching. I was getting there.
No,
we got to edit it out.
No, we're not going to edit it.
He's cleaning his glasses. We got to edit it out.
Why would I edit the part where he's cleaning his glasses?
Gentlemen and ladies, this has been the Rising Star podcast with Joey G and Kelsey. We have been your special guests.
The Even Stevens, total combined weight of 400 pounds even. I'm Steve Somerset.
I'm Steven Azure.
That was
I'm Kelsey.
Dakota.
I'm Joey G. Dakota's probably drinking out of her bottle.
No, she just.
Nice. I can't wait to do that after too myself. You got my bottle, right, Steve? You got my bottle, right, Steve?
Also, I would like to give a shout out. One of my actual friends in real life, a high school friend, his mother recently passed away, and it wasn't for her driving us to my first ever wrestling show, which was ECW in 2006. I want to give a shout out, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Drew, who's going through a really rough time right now. Thank you for the memories, Regina. Her hugs were amazing. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify. We are on, I think Apple will be on Apple for the podcast.
Make sure you check out the Even Stevens at Creative Pro. Make sure you check out Steven Update. You can find them. You can find them all over the internet on Instagram, Twitter,
We love the internet.
on the internets,
The interwebs.
the interwebs. Make sure you check them out. Check them out on Steven Update. They're hysterical. You know, you're not gonna be disappointed. And thank you all for watching this episode with the best in the world, the Even Stevens. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great day.
Woo!
Boom.
Boom.